Okay, so this looks good. Christian.
Now I'm seeing a slideshow view right now where you.
Oh, I have to display settings. You said, right? Or how do I go there?
Yes.
Oh,
Switch display.
swap presenter. Right here.
Yeah, try that one.
Okay, cool. Okay. Hold on. Let me see. Okay. Does look okay?
Just see the PowerPoint right now.
Oh, okay. Hold on. What about now?
No. No. Just I'm looking at the PowerPoint. Oh, there we go.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks good.
Okay. And if there's anything, you could always just message me. Yeah, text me. So that's okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. I'll just wait 1 or 2 minutes, just for all the participants to attend. So. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Webcast Wednesday. I'm Nick Sharma, and I'm the current marketing assistant here at Exclusive Networks USA. For those of you who don't know, FineTech was last year acquired by Exclusive Networks, who advanced its global distribution partner offering with this acquisition. Exclusive Group offices are across 5 continents and presence in over 100 countries. Exclusive Group brings all the essential elements of a proven winning strategy for market entry and growth. With this webinar, we will talk about NSS Labs, NGFW, the Next Generation Firewall 2018, the results and messaging. For today's agenda, we'll start with an introduction of our company, Exclusive Networks, followed by an introduction of our presenter, Christian Postier. And then we'll cover today, followed by the details of the presentation, which is the NSS Labs, and then Q&A, and then lastly, the drawing for the 2 Amazon gift cards. For those of you who are not familiar with Exclusive Networks, we're a value-added distributor that specializes specifically in network security and IT security solutions. We currently work with Fortinet, Bradford Networks, Gigamon, Rockamount IT, and Savius. The services that we provide include inventory. We're one of the value-added distributors that would hold inventory for customer while built. We provide financing and leasing options. We give you flexible payment methods, and we do sales support from initial quote to close. Any marketing support like events, webinars, campaigns, digital marketing for our partners, and any technical services from demo to deployment. Before I get into the webinar details, let me brief you on the bio of our presenter. Christian Postier has worked on information security since 2001. Rounding out his 6th year at Fortinet, he has worked on just about everything that has a network port. Starting at Fortinet in professional services, Christian likes to travel nationwide during major implementation and upgrades for major telecom ISPs, universities, hospitals, financial institutions, and state-run agencies. Later, Christian moved to the sales engineering side, focusing on helping customers achieve their goals, utilizing the entire Fortinet security fabric. In the last 2 years, Christian has turned his focus to the channel side, speaking nationwide at both events and on-site with partners all over the US, and how they can utilize the power of Fortinet security fabric to help them have less headaches and easier cloud management solutions to help drive their sales. So the webinar topics for today's webinar include NSS Labs, how it's the world's leading security product testing laboratory, public methodologies open for vendor review and input, and CIOs, CISOs, and security professionals that rely on NSS Lab results. So now I'm going to hand it over to Christian, who will be doing the rest of the presentation, and you'll be seeing me again towards the end when I'm doing the raffle drawing. Thank you. Christian, are you there?
Okay. I am. Thanks, Nick. Just moving the screen. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and go over to presentation mode. All right, Nick, are you able to see my monitor here?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Perfect. Well, thanks for joining, everyone. With the group today, feel free to ask questions during the presentation. Anytime, if I see them on my other monitor, I'll try to answer them right then and there. If not, we'll answer as much as we can after we're done. It's pretty short, really. Today, we're just going to go over NSS Labs. They just released one of the big tests that they do. It's the NGFW 2018 report that they put out. So, of course, not all firewalls are created equal. Basically, you know, everything is moving to SSL, HTTPS, and this isn't a number that's decreasing. This is a number that's increasing year over year. Just about everything from cloud, security as a service. I mean, all your apps are moving over to SSL. So to take a look at that and to inspect that type of traffic is pretty important. You can just see some of the numbers here. By Fortinet, 80% of organizations reported critical severity exploits. IDC shows 50% more enterprise workloads are moving to public cloud, and Gartner even showing that 50% of enterprises will be using SSL inspection by 2020. So you got to start looking at this traffic. It's kind of the trends where things are moving. And these other vendors, they need to start being more transparent of where they lie in the SSL inspection numbers compared to the rest of the world. So NSS Labs, if you don't know who they are, they're out of Austin. Great testing company. They really do what we call real world type of traffic and testing. You know, a lot of people have their data sheets, and you always hear that thing that data sheets lie like a politician, which is can be true. So you got to check out those numbers, and you got to get them tested. So don't just take these other vendors' words for it. Check out Gartner, check out NSS Labs, and see where they stack up against each other, because some of those numbers may not always be correct. They're the world's leading security product testing laboratory. What's really cool is they do make public the way they test it. You know, they show what they use, the exploits, the evasion test. They make it all public and give it to the vendors that tested their products, just so they can help improve. You know, in the next year's results, they don't always make public what they are doing right before they do the testing. Basically, they do the testing, and then they say the way they did it. So if you did miss any evasions, we did miss one single evasion last year. They let us know about it, and this year, you know, we buttoned that one up. We got 100% on evasion. So they do let you know, and they're really great at doing real world type of traffic that helps you decide and button up your firewall. So and that's always important. I mean, you can see here CIOs, CISOs. They rely on these reports to pick their firewall and their decision making, and when choosing a new enterprise protection. So NSS Labs third-party certifications. You can see Fortinet basically got 12 recommendations. That's more than the top competitors combined. So we looked really good this year on the NSS Labs. Basically, this is the 8th iteration of the test. Pretty much the most comprehensive we've seen to date. It's broken up in kind of 3 components here. You got security, effectiveness, performance, and TCO, and the SSL performance and functionality. With 32, pretty much the most common HTTPS ciphers and keys being used today. On the security effectiveness side, 7 vendors failed this test completely, but there was 190 evasion techniques, 90 resiliency tests. We got over 2,000 exploits spanning the last 10 years. This is basically the exploits that are out right now, the last 10 years, and live exploits. That just basically means the 0 days and some of the latest stuff that it's caught right now. So they throw just about everything at their firewalls. Performance and TCO, this has been changed a little bit. They did have kind of a mix of traffic in the past that was kind of, you know, healthcare, retail, financial, just kind of a mix of those type of industries. And now they've kind of made it more real world, cloud applications, voice, video, just a mix of really what's going on most average enterprises right now. So they try to keep up with that and use that type of traffic to mix in there during the testing. Multiple performance, latency, and stability requirements. And of course, the SSL performance and functionality. This is very important, especially to us as Fortinet, because these other vendors claim that they can do SSL inspection well and perform, but the results, which I will show you here, say otherwise. So that's kind of it. Gartner, NSS Labs, you've probably seen these graphs, right? You always want to be in that top right corner. or at least in that recommended area. Of course, the more top right, kind of the better you do. Here we kind of have security effectiveness, and the way that they did this chart is price performance. So the TCO, basically how much it costs to protect per megabyte, is the way they kind of did this year. And if you ever see a blue line, that's basically, if they're way in the bottom left, but they have this blue line, it shows that they were able to block certain evasions, certain tests, but whenever they put it under traffic load, they underperformed quite a bit and did not do very well. So if you're ever wondering kind of what's going on, when it has a dot but a blue line up there, that means just under load. That's kind of what happened there. So the products tested this year, FortiGate 500E. This is a sub 30K firewall. The Palo Alto was a 200K firewall. Versa Networks, they're on the newer side, more in the SD-WAN space, but they were one of the firewalls tested. Their numbers were, it was their first year. We'll show you some of their numbers here. They claimed were higher and didn't perform, but it still did well. But we'll show you some of their inflated numbers here. A couple other products here: ForcePoint, WatchGuard, Barracuda, SonicWall, got here in the recommended. But in the caution neutral. I mean, Checkpoint, Sophos, and Cisco all fell there in caution. Juniper and Hawaii didn't even make it on the list. So theirs did not do very good at all. But out of the 12, only 10 were able to make the list. And again, Cisco, got a neutral rating, almost into the caution. So here we go. You can see this is that chart where they stacked up. I have a little zoom in to help you here. Fortinet, the second highest there on security effectiveness, just barely under FirstPoint, but on the TCO, on the total cost of ownership, you can see there that Fortinet did very well. So best TCO among all the vendors, the highest SSL inspection performance, which was really good. There's a very high number on that 500E, and also the least SSL performance degradation. That means once you turn on SSL inspection, how much did that firewall suffer? How much did that throughput suffer? Fortinet easily with the least amount. We had 100% evasions blocked, and again, 99.3 on the security effectiveness. All right, so how to position our results. Of course, you know, we did have a very high throughput of 5.7 gig on that performance, pretty much the highest needed for growing, because with 75% of all total traffic being encrypted there. We had the least SSL performance degradation, only 14%. And you can look at that. The average other vendors were up to 60% on average, some of them reaching up to 80% degradation turning on SSL inspection. We passed all the functionality tests for all 32 different ciphers. That's pretty good because a lot of them didn't even do all 32. I think SonicWall maybe only got 15. Failed. Cisco, I think, fell on 7 of them. But we had the best TCO, price per megabyte. We'll go over that here in just a second. You can see we had 100% of the evasions blocked, 100% of the live exploits blocked. Overall 99.3. And we also got the 5th consecutive. We're the only vendor with 5 consecutive recommendations for the last 5 years. So this is a cool little graph here. You can see this is the next gen firewall price per megabyte of inspection. So this is for NGFW. Now, these are pretty much the claims of how much this is going to cost per each of these vendors. You can see Fortinet easily the lowest. The best value there, even some of the closest is twice as much. SonicWall, ForcePoint 3 times. So now turning on SSL inspection, right? Big jump here. Look at this for Palo Alto, coming up to now $30. I mean, Fortinet had a very small increase, about 17% increase there. SonicWall, I don't know what happened there. Their numbers, basically it just shows you, you know, a lot of these other companies just can't keep up with SSL inspection. Of course, Fortinet, we are hardware based. We do our ASICs for our content processing and our network processing, we use these really cool ASICs. We can load them up. They do their job very well, and we can do SSL inspection very well. That's kind of how we keep our price down. We make our own hardware, make our own software, do it all in-house. Force point not being too bad. Sophos there, Versa Networks, they had a huge percent increase there, but that's kind of where they landed there in turning on SSL inspection. So again, don't always go by those data sheet numbers. Be sure to look at the NSS Lab results for where they actually stacked up, because those people kind of lie like a politician on their data sheet. They just don't have the performance that they claim to have. Fortinet, like I said, last 5 years. This is kind of the evolution of the test, the NSS Labs test. You can see here in 2013 started with the exploits, moved to stability, then the cyber advanced warning system evasions, SSL inspection. We got a recommended for each one of those years. Palo Alto, not so much. Checkpoint failed this year on the caution there. Cisco not doing too well. So 5th consecutive year, we're very proud of that, and we did get that. So some of the competitor results pretty much had to position us. PAN, they claim to be able to look at every non-standard port, and they have an app ID and can see every single port going on there, but they did fail to detect a lot of attacks on non-standard ports. They did have some poor SSL performance results, didn't do too well on the SSL inspection. And they actually missed decrypting 6 of the top 30 ciphers. Not sure how that happened to them, but yeah, so that 200K box did not do good on those SSL ciphers. So Cisco didn't even get in the recommended range, missed a lot of port 80 evasions even. Only 35% of its NGFW claim is what they performed on, and they also had poor SSL performance. Checkpoint, they got rated caution. They failed the resiliency and stability test, missed quite a few evasions, poor SSL performance, and a lack of 15 of those top 30 ciphers. And these are just the most common ciphers being used today on the web. Couldn't even grab 15 of those. So not looking good. This is kind of where people stack up in the claims on those data sheets. You can kind of see a little percent of the delta here on where they actually claim. Now, this isn't a percentage of how much more you get. This is just what they claim, how much they missed of how much they're doing for each one of those pieces of hardware. Fortinet getting a 30% more than what they actually claim. Versa Networks, like I said, they're new. They may just not know how to test real world traffic just yet. They may improve those numbers next year, but they did quite poorly on their data sheets in real world traffic that NSS Labs does. Cisco did quite a bit of less than what they claim to do. Same with Sophos and WatchGuard. So you can kind of just see some of the numbers there. Fortinet really did a pretty good job of outperforming what we claim, which we usually do. We never try to overinflate any numbers because there's really no bar we're trying to catch up to. We do really well in those SSL inspection numbers. Performance and functionality, you can kind of see here on the degradation of some of these other top competitors of ours. Of course, we did see all 45 of those ciphers. Palo Alto missed a few, Checkpoint, quite a few. Cisco Firepower really failed in that. So you can see that degradation. I mean, that's almost 80% on some of these top vendors once you turn on SSL inspection, where we saw around 15% loss from the NGFW performance compared to SSL. So definitely did great there on Fortinet, where some of these other guys maybe not so much. So be sure to ask them about that if you are claiming or if you are talking to them. Why did you fail so bad on the SSL test with NSS Labs? It'd be interesting to see what they say. TCO, again, that's kind of how they measure here on this test. Total cost of ownership. This is a kind of a cool graph that they put up here. with the security effectiveness, the purchase price of those, basically showing that our sub 30K box, that 500E, really got that TCO down to about $2. The closest vendor, Sonicom, in Versa, they're almost twice as much, and they fell short on a lot of different areas. So you can see Cisco and Checkpoint's almost out of the ballpark whenever it comes to TCO on their price for how much they're charging. Value, how they get this number, if you're reading it in the report, is not exactly shared with us on these deltas. They probably throw in the 3 to 5 year value, how they stacked up, and the security effectiveness and the cost of the hardware. But you can see this is just an interesting sheet showing how much more value you actually get from the price. And taken with the TCO, you can see quite a big jump there. On the Fortinet side, almost 400%. Other vendors not stacking up so high, but you can kind of see Fortinet easily rated the highest value, while some of the other vendors get a little bit overpriced. Latency, I grabbed this slide just real quick, just because Fortinet did so well in latency. And of course, latency is always a great idea to be low. Just for the sake of voice, video, things like that. And of course, my personal favorite there is gaming, but those mission critical apps, you do need some low latency, and you never want to have that increase too much for packet size. So you can kind of see a big difference here. Cisco, very high. Sophos, ridiculously high. But we want to keep that latency down whenever you turn on everything. And of course, Fortinet did very well in that. So here's kind of a high-level summary of the top competitors. The Cyber Advanced Warning System, Fortinet at 100%, along with Checkpoint. Follow fell a little bit short on that on the live exploits. Basically, the latest 0 days, everything that's been out for the last couple of months, thrown at these firewalls to test to see how they stack up. Of course, Fortinet, we've discovered almost more 0 days than most competitors combined. You can always check that out at fortiguard.com, but we're always discovering new 0 days with our sandbox technology and sending those updates out to our firewalls and blocking them. The Asian groups that failed, Fortinet didn't fail any. Checkpoint 1, Palo 1, Cisco 2. The exploit library block, our effectiveness was 99.1%, so pretty good compared to some of the top vendors out there. Average latency, like I was saying, we did really well on that. Total cost of ownership for SSL inspection, we did very good. So very, very good price, good product for your money there. And then of course underneath that would be the NGFW price for protected megabyte versus the above number is the SSL inspection. The other numbers do look good, and they probably will talk about that. They will talk about that they perform very well in the next generation firewall piece. And then their data sheet will say that they perform well in the SSL inspection. But be sure to either bring up, if you are talking to these other vendors, bring up why the NSS Labs made them look so bad. It's because they just can't hold up. A lot of these other vendors use CPUs, whereas Fortinet's always been great about using their ASICs. That's what kind of makes, this is a specific CPU built to do these processes. So, and they're a lot cheaper than a CPU. CPU can get very, very large, very expensive, very power hungry, and you start turning all that stuff on, they just can't keep up. Whereas we can have multiple ASICs that cost a lot cheaper than a CPU, hardware-wise, and we just pass those savings off to the customers. So, really, really worked out for us. You can read more about our latest chipsets, the CP9 content processor, and then the MP6, the network processor. But we've been doing ASICs since the beginning of the company, so we are very far ahead of the game when it comes to ASICs, whereas a lot of these vendors are now having to move to that area to catch up with these numbers, and they're just kind of slow behind. They're using off-the-shelf ASICs, and they just don't perform near what ours do. All right, that kind of ends it up. If you guys want some more information on this, of course, our website, right when you log in, It is going to show some of the NSS Labs report right there that you can click on to see the results. I do believe the latest NSS Labs did just release an SD-WAN report, so I think that's our main, if you go to the website, our main picture that it's going to show. And we did very well on the SD-WAN portion as well. Cisco didn't even activate their services. They purchased a Cisco box, but they refused to activate the service, I heard, for that testing. So I don't even think they were going to perform very well at all. Of course, we have a press release on the website as well, all about the NGFW report. We have a brochure that does show a little bit more, some of their testing methodologies that you can check out. We have a video on YouTube. The partner portal, you guys can log in there to grab some more information from there that you can share with your customers. And of course, we have blog posts as well. So those are kind of the results I wanted to share with you guys. Be sure to pass those along to your customers. We were very happy with the report this year. And look eager to next year's testing as well. So I'll hand it back over to you, Nick, if I haven't put you to sleep. Are you still there?
Yes. Yep. Okay.
All right. And also, again, if anyone needs to ask any questions, or if you have any questions, you can always ask in the webinar, or shoot us an email over to Nick or myself, Exclusive Networks, or me. We can get those answered right away for you. Thanks.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Christian. Great info, and interesting to see Fortinet's success stories and what they're doing this year. I did do the raffle drawing, and I will be announcing the winners. So the winners of today are Nathan Sherlock and Paul Filio. So I do have your email addresses, and I will be emailing you the $25 Amazon gift card. Thank you so much for everybody who attended. And I would like to conclude. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. So over here, this is our Exclusive Networks USA Sales and Marketing territory map, which is updated. This is all the sales contacts you can contact. So feel free to shoot an email or contact these people. We do have a Exclusive Networks web portal. We're also going to be updating this webinar on our YouTube channel, and feel free to like us on our Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn pages. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and I'll see you at the next webinar.